Welcome to the Piedmont Triad Podcast.
Before I get too old, I'm gonna head down to Muscle Shoals. Baby, you can meet me at the station.
Welcome to another episode of the Piedmont Triad Podcast, where we explore the culture and flavors of the Piedmont Triad area of North Carolina. I'm your host, David Locklear, and today we are talking to Holly Presnell, the owner-operator of the downtown Winston-Salem oddity shop called Major Tom's. Major Tom's is home to many strange artifacts, which include everything from preserved pig fetuses to a coloring book that documents the adventures of a world-traveling penis. Holly tells us about the genesis of Major Tom's, the struggles of running an unusual business, and growing up in a very religious home. So the reason I wanted to talk to you was because me and my family bumped into this place a couple of months ago. I forgot what you guys were doing, and I was thinking this is exactly something that that downtown Winston is definitely going into. So, let me first get. What is your last name? First name's Holly. What's your last name?
Presnell.
Okay. Yes. And how long have you been in Winston?
I was born and raised in Winston. I moved away. I moved to Los Angeles for a little while. Then I moved to Nashville, but I always came back. Just family being here, friends being here, and it's my home. Yeah.
So you were born. You say you're born and raised here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get that in just a
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I can lean in.
So what took you to LA?
It was the relationship I was in at the time is what kind of started it. I was really into music, and I didn't really go there for that, but I was into it. I definitely did get to find a lot of the influences that you see in here, like just some of the eye-catching, just overstimulating type of situations that I'd never really experienced before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that informs a lot of what you decide goes in here?
Yeah, I mean, like the beginning of it, I guess, the vision. Because this place was kind of an accident. It was for rent, and I had already had the name picked out, but I did not have any idea like what a space would look like. Mm-hmm. So none of this was pre-planned. It just sort of happened. Like, I'm going to make an entire wall of pink fur and have rainbow glitter on the floor, and I want rainbow light up clouds in the sky. And my husband was like, "You've lost your mind." And I was like, "Yeah, I want people to be able to pet a wall. Like, who gets to do that, Yeah, so that was definitely a big part of it, was getting to experience those things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Being a small town girl for so long.
So, yeah, getting some sort of, taste and influence of the sort of bizarre and even macabre a little bit is, was appealing.
Yeah, feeling like not alone in the world, and just being like, oh, there's other people out there like me, and kind of removing that stigmatism that comes with the word weird, where it's just like this bad thing, and embracing it instead of being standoffish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, have you always, felt weird, your entire life?
So I was am a only child and was homeschooled. So weird was just automatically there. I mean, if I said that to someone, they'd be like, "Oh, you're the weird kid." And I'm like, what am I doing to be weird? I'm not even trying to be weird. Like, but I think that is what weird is. Like, you don't try to be weird. You just are weird. Mm-hmm. And so that was just automatically there. I was also born with a hemangioma on my nose, and got made fun of a lot. It was giant and red and round, so I got called a clown. I got called Rudolph, and I got bullied a lot, so I got to experience that part of the word weird too, like in an appearance, not just a behavior. Mm-hmm. And I just had to, like I said, I had to embrace it and learn to love it. And that's why this place means a lot to me, because I wanted to provide a safe place for other weirdos, mm-hmm. just to feel at home and welcome, and yeah.
And you said you had what? How did you say that again?
Hemangioma.
What is that?
It's a tumor. It's benign, and it was just like a very large growth right on the end of my nose. It hung my nose down almost past my lip, and it was just dark red, and so it was pretty crazy looking.
I can see that when you're a kid, of course, other rotten kids, that's going to be an easy target.
I was
for
a
them.
very easy target. Yeah, definitely.
It's such a shame that kids can do that too. I was both when I was a kid. I was both a bully and I was bullied. So it sucks.
Those things can go hand in hand, I feel like.
Oh yeah. It's like a weird need for control in a way.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so you're saying that you were bullied as a child, and so like coming from that, do you think that maybe being fascinated with darker things is because maybe it brought like darker thoughts into your head, being made to feel sort of lesser than as you were growing up?
I mean, I could see that being a part of it. I think that when you already just feel small all the time, you kind of, when you grow up, still chase that for some reason. Like, it's one of those twisted, dark things that it's like, I like that feeling of like being smaller or just being in awe and being fascinated no matter where that goes. It doesn't have to just be like a big, giant, bright Christmas tree. It can also be a freak show and a circus and just anything that just gets your senses going, certain smells. And I definitely have chased a lot of the darker side because it just excites me more. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, the nice stuff does too sometimes, but
So when you were growing up, was your home life like pretty organized and pretty, for lack of a better word, maybe sterile?
So my dad's a preacher. There's the other thing to throw in, which a lot of people are like, "Oh, really? That's so shocking. What did he do?" So I know not to do that with my child. But I had a great family life, and I was very sheltered. So I definitely didn't really get to experience this stuff then. So it's just like what everybody says: as soon as you're let loose, I mean, you go. And I was 0 to 60 and did not look back. It just I got so fascinated with, the bones and the jarred specimens, and I just loved feeling like a mad scientist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I can see that, because it's like you said, anytime, things are kind of tamped down, you're eventually going to dive headlong into it just to see what it is. And it's ironically, my wife and I are actually experimenting a little bit with our raising our kids with allowing them a little bit more leeway than we were allowed growing up, and hoping maybe they won't, just lose their fucking mind when they go out into the world. One of the things that my wife did recently, which I 100% wouldn't have signed off on, was when we were in here, she found a coloring book it was The Adventures of a Little Dick. And it was funny, but she allowed my 14-year-old to buy that. I'm like, all right, it isn't that funny. I'm not sure how I feel about this. But she kind of, the way she put it, and I think she's right, even though it makes me sick, she was like, well, think about it this way. It might open up a dialogue if things are going through her mind and she doesn't know what to add. And I'm like,
yeah,
fine, use your logic. I don't care. Fine, she can have the dick book.
And it is funny.
It really was funny. Him sitting there running around a unicorn. It looks like he's having a great time. All the things he's doing. So, I think that there is something to that because I'm hoping that they won't go completely off the deep end, because I did the same kind of thing as I was growing up. Things were kind of, you didn't cuss, you didn't do anything like that. And of course, I hit, middle school, and every other word out of my mouth is the F word because it was the coolest word that has ever existed.
Of course, yeah. I remember the first time I ever cussed, and I just felt like so wrong. And I was like, oh, this is cool. God did not strike me down. I'm still alive. Like, there was a lot of those things that I really had to wash out of my brain because they were so just lodged in there, and I had to realize it's okay to just be weird and be silly and goofy and make fun of things maybe you shouldn't. I mean, we got a book over there, Images You Should Not Masturbate To. It's hilarious. It's completely pointless, you know? Like, I love meaningless shit. Like, it's wonderful. What a great coffee table book, you know?
Right.
And these are things that, you know, when you bring these things in your home, you automatically are going to have a conversation with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other aspect of this that I love, is just those smiles on people's faces and just the, what is going on here? Or when parents are like, don't look over there with their kids. Or one of my favorite quotes was, no, Grandma, don't come in here. And it was like the first week we opened. And just, that's why I put a parental advisory on the door. And even though the only thing that really scares the kids more than anything is the taxidermy or me. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that comes back to, you know, you have all these strange things in here. Like you said, you've got the taxidermy, you've got, you know, jars of pickled pigs and whatnot, And so, I mean, you've got bizarre stuff. So, you know, I know you don't want to give too much away, but how do you come across these things exactly?
It just, honestly, it depends on what it is, but a lot of the time, like the jarred specimens, I've had a couple other people bring stuff in, but I started doing those and just really fell in love with it. I liked getting to pick out different jars for them to go in, and the way that I source a lot of things, like I have to make sure, it's very important to me that everything died of natural causes and that I have proof of that for my, like in case it's ever questioned. So I work with a lot of different companies to get specimens that whatever I'm spending is going directly back into their scientific research. Same with like the human, we finally got in a full human skull.
Oh, right. Oh,
yes.
Nice. That's exciting.
It was very exciting. I was freaking out so hard, and my husband was like, I knew what I signed up for, but I don't know if I knew what I signed up for. Like, you were way too excited about holding a human skull in your hands, and I'm like, it's, you know, I respect it. I'm like, I'm loving on it before it goes in my shop, and that's weird, but those sorts of things, I just like to make sure I know I'm giving back to what I love. And I love the science and the biology of this and want those sorts of research and the research, and also being able to help make sure that underprivileged children are getting the right proper education. That's where a lot of the money goes back to from a lot of the specimens we get. Of course, there's a couple that, you know, hey, found a dead frog at my house, can you come pick it up? Or here's something people call about roadkill.
Oh, goodness. That sounds like that might be hard to work with.
It's just funny, though. I mean, it cracks all of us up, because even my girlfriends are like, I never in a million years thought I would have a female friend that I call and say, hey, fresh hit deer over here at this intersection. Or, you know, there's a possum, looks like it's in good shape.
Looks like its guts haven't blown out of its back.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I think you could probably get something off of it. And I'm like, yeah, this is a weird world to work in. But yeah, that's that kind of stuff. You know, some of the other things, like, you know, earrings, we make a lot of those. Not all of them, but most of them. And everything else is just a lot of doing what I love, which is just treasure hunting. I go out to all kinds of different places and just find what I can. And sometimes it gets difficult sometimes, but yeah, it all comes together somehow, one way or another. I mean,
do you ever go to like yard sales and things like that?
Oh yeah. Plenty of yard sales, estate sales, flea markets. That's where a lot of it happens at, which is fun and sometimes creepy, but it's mostly fun.
Yeah. Oh, I remember a yard sale I went to, and I wish I bought this. And I don't know why I didn't, but it was a little. It was like a little ammo container, and it was, you know, an estate sale, actually, not a yard sale. And the container was labeled, it was apparently the owner's dead dog's ashes from 20 years prior inside of this box. And I remember thinking, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen at a yard sale, and it was only $5. And I don't know why I didn't buy it, and I think back on those ashes all the time.
We have one of those.
Oh, do you? Really?
That I got from an estate sale.
And that is so cool. That's such a weird little treasure to have. You know, this was somebody's pet, and
Yeah, Esmeralda. And actually, so I got it at an estate sale here in Winston, and when this lady passed, she was actually, at the time she passed, the oldest black woman in the United States. And I have her dog's ashes.
No kidding. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that doesn't feel like that would be for sale.
No, it just kind of stays there and watches after us. It's like our little guard dog over there.
Right.
But it is a cool story. That's most things in here are for sale, but there are some that I put not for sale on some things, but others I don't, because I like people to ask, is that for sale? And then I get to say why it's not. Because everything in here does have a story, you know. And a lot of people like to hear those stories. Some people they want me to shut the fuck up and not look at them at all so they can not get any more freaked out than they already are. But a lot of people, it's always, where do you get this stuff? And, you know, where did this come from? And what's the story here? And it's really important to me and my employee, like, to know the story behind everything in here. Like, you know, I can't expect her to have the cool story if, you know, like,
right, yeah.
How is she going to know? Other than, I don't know why it's not for sale. It's just not. I'm like, because it's haunted, okay? The ambiance, we need that in here.
Yeah. So what's your favorite, besides the skull, what's, like, your favorite current piece in here right now? Or what's the one that has maybe the strangest story?
I mean, there's a bass over here, a largemouth bass, that I dropped and messed up one time. And when I dropped him, for some reason, I don't know why, but there was something in his mouth that fell out, and it was like, why is this in here? Like, I had no idea. It was like a toy or something, and I was like, why is there a toy in your mouth? And when it happened, I laughed to myself, and I was like, thinking about the types of things fish must see in the ocean, and or wherever they may be. So I threw glitter on him and newspaper and decorated him and put a piece of pizza in his mouth and gave him some dentures and a unicorn thing on his head and a pair of glasses. And the saying, littering is the #1 cause of party fish, because he's also got a cigarette and a beer. Because I just started laughing to myself, and that's how, like, a lot of the art pieces in here that I've done happen, is just because I'm making fun of my own thoughts, basically. But that was a pretty great one, just because of how it happened. Like, just dropping a piece of taxidermy and a toy falling out of its mouth, and you're like, what in the world?
This should be a unicorn party fish.
Yeah, that's how the thoughts happen, you know? Like, but that's just a weird one, I guess. It's just how, I don't know. People ask, how did you come up with, I don't really, honestly, a toy dropped out of his mouth. Like, I don't know how I came up with it either.
It almost seems like a quirky version of The Conjuring, you know, having that room of all the haunted things, you know. Yeah. There's a toy in there, so be careful.
Exactly.
You know, shenanigans can erupt.
We did actually have a pretty haunted toy or doll, to the point where I had to remove it from the store because it was freaking out my employees so much. And other people were starting to blame things that were bad happening on the street on the doll. It got that out of hand. And it started as, like, kind of a joke. And because she had, like, when I got her, it's the kind that have, like, the flip-up eyes. And one of them wouldn't open, never opened. And then one time, one time it just opened. And it was definitely broken. So it really freaked me out when I look over there one day and her eyes are open. So I just started, like, messing with it. I didn't pull out a Ouija board or anything, but I was just like, that's interesting. And when I tried to take a picture of her, it wouldn't stay on my phone. And then my phone just cut off and it was fully charged. Would not turn back on.
Really?
And she started doing that to other people's phones when they tried to take pictures of her. That we had a guy whose strap fell off of his camera, his nice camera, the moment he tried to take a picture of her. And then we had someone call and say that they thought the doll made them wreck their car because they bought a new car and the radio went out and the brakes didn't work on their car and they wrecked after they were in here. Wow. And I was like, I have to remove this thing. This has gone way too far because people are like, somebody's going to get hurt seriously and think I kept this creepy doll on the street. And
yeah, and it's just, at the very least, it sounds like the doll, if it's haunted, it's just being a dick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like, you mischievous little bitch. Like, quit messing with people. And our radios would, like, just randomly turn on songs from, like, the 1920s that were not even on a playlist or anything. And we were like, okay, we can't do this anymore. I don't think that's just Sonos.
Right.
Like,
I need to turn on some Bessie Smith right now.
Yeah, exactly. It was so weird.
Well, so you got, like, you sold it, or what happened?
I actually had someone that was interested in, like, I guess, pursuing the spirit in the doll to figure out what was going on. So we'll figure out how that's going at some point.
Right. Yeah, I was half expecting you to be like, they're dead now. I'm like, oh, man.
Actually, I haven't heard from him in a while, so maybe I should check in on him and make sure he's okay.
Just a follow-up appointment.
Yeah, did you make it? Yeah. Did you make it through the doll situation? Mm-hmm.
Well, I know one of the things I see that you have up here is, like, you've got pictures of House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, which, Devil's Rejects is one of my favorite horror movies, so I'm taking it you're a big, big horror fan.
Yes, I am. It took me a while to actually, like, warm up to certain types of horror. I've always been, like, a blood and guts person, shocking, but I love the effects and stuff. It took me a little while to actually be comfortable with the more demonic ghost type stuff, just because of my upbringing. It's kind of sucks when you're a kid and you're actually told demons are real. So it took me a while to kind of get over that and embrace it. But yeah, definitely love the horror stuff. And I mean, we have a lot of, like, people into the serial killer culture, and that's been an interesting thing to navigate, because I don't want to glorify, but we have a lot of the cult stuff in here for sure, all kinds. Yeah.
Like, with the serial killer stuff, do you have people who are, like, overly fascinated with it? Like, kind of what you're talking about, maybe even get into the glorification of ideas of those types of killers?
Yeah, I think that there's, it's pretty easy to tell when someone comes in, if they're just fascinated with the, what's the psychology behind it, I guess, like, or if it's the glorification. And I don't agree with the glorification aspect of it at all, but I'm fascinated by it too. I mean, I think it's natural to be fascinated by, like, just not being able to comprehend someone being able to do something like that, and what does make them different. And so we try to make sure what we have in here that is geared towards that is not looking playful or anything like that. So, we have, like, the encyclopedia of serial killers, like that kind of thing, or, like, the handheld encyclopedia of serial killers. And every now and then, like a Valentine's Day card or something. Just goofy. That's as goofy as we go. Yeah. Silly's okay, but glorification, not okay.
Yeah, I was going to say silly is much, much different, I think. That's like gallows humor, I think.
We've had
get it,
serial killer coloring books before, too. Speaking of coloring books,
that kind of stuff is not that big of a deal, I think. I didn't even realize how much I was against the glorification of serial killers until years ago. I'd gone to London with my wife, and we took the Jack the Ripper like walking tour, where they take you to all the places where the victims were found and all the important parts of it, and that was actually kind of fascinating. And towards the end, we were leaving, and they had a gift shop, and you could get a shirt with Jack stalks the streets at night, that kind of thing. And for a half second, I was like, that's cool. And then I was like, no, that's awful.
Yeah.
Right. Like, why would I do that?
People died. Right.
Yeah, like, they died horrible deaths. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, this guy kicks ass. No, that might be a bad idea.
Right. It's easy to, like, slip up on that. It's easy for me, like, especially people like Eileen Wardos. I'm just like, oh, yeah, like, this dude raped her. Like, go you. Like, hell yeah, like, kill him, whatever. And then I'm like, what am I freaking saying? That wasn't every victim here, like, in this situation. Like, good God.
Yeah.
It's easy to teeter.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so, you can get caught up in that so easily. I'm a sucker for a good revenge movie. Where it's like, terrible things have happened, they should be killed meticulously. And I'm like, hell yeah. In real life, I'm like, that would be bad. Movie-wise, it's cool. And, real life, that's not cool. Yeah.
It's definitely important to know where, like, we stand on it, because, that's not anything I would ever want anyone to think. But we still get people that are like, the coloring book is a glorification. And, and I'm like, it just really depends on who you are, what type of person you are. I get it if it, like, freaks people out, but a lot of stuff in here freaks people out. And, if we had anything else we'd ever put in here that I would love, would just be like an X mark on the floor for as far as people get sometimes. Like, they literally only make it like 2 steps in, and they're like, nope. Not for me. Hell no. Not today. Not ever. Or like the people that just, I mean, we've literally seen children's feet go off the floor from their moms yanking them by their arm, just gone. You know, that's why I make it as soon as you walk in, you know, there's something coming at your face, like a taxidermied coyote, and then there's like a half-naked dude over here on the wall with just a paper bag on his dick. Like, it's pretty obvious when you walk in if you're going to be okay or not.
Yeah, you need to make the determination, is this not safe for work for you?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, but we definitely have had some pretty funny run-ins like that. It always cracks me up.
Yeah.
I've never had anybody run out screaming or crying. Not while I was here anyways.
Right.
So,
well, has it been pretty successful since you've been down here?
It has, actually. Like, we've really been, I keep saying we. I wish Molly would have been able to be here today.
Mm-hmm.
But we've gotten so much support. We have a lot of, like, regulars. We try to keep new stuff coming in constantly, every single week. And so far, we've done that. I mean, there's always going to be something new to look at. I need to get better at the internet side of this, but like I like people to come in and experience it. That's why I'm not big on the internet stuff. But we have gotten so much support. We have, like I said, I've got a list of people that just call all the time or send us pictures. Hey, I found this at my grandma's house. Do y'all want it? And
Nice.
Or do you want to do a trade? And we try to make it important to just keep our prices very fair. Like, we're not going to buy something for, like, at a yard sale, like you said, for super cheap, and then come in here and someone be like, are you kidding me? I know you must have gotten that at, like, you know, the Goodwill bins or at, you know. We try to keep everything just fair, and so everyone can afford to have weird shit on their walls or on their shelves, or, you know, if you want a troll from the 90s or whatever you're into, let's make it affordable. And it seems to have really worked for us. Like, people, I think, know that we're not here trying to take all your money for our weird shit. Like, you know, like, let's keep it going. And people have been good at just supporting us. And we just, I mean, I feel like most of the time, most days, like, everybody that comes in gets something, because there are so many different price points in here. Like, we've got dollar stuff, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so anyone can afford something, which it was really important to me when I opened this place, was everyone should be able to have a cool pair of earrings and, you know, weird skull and whatever else you want. Like, you should be able to afford it. Like, it shouldn't be outrageous.
Yeah, and I think that when you have something like that, when you get a model set up that way, people will respond to it, because it almost seems like a reciprocation where you're trying to make it affordable, and therefore they're like, well, I like it and I want to support this. And,
Right.
If you can strike that balance, I think you've really done a good job, because it's hard to do, you know, with just about anything like this.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's always something to learn. I did not ever think this is what I would be doing with my life, and I'm not good at math, or, like, you know, like, I've always been the art kid, the weird art kid, you know, the jack of all trades, master of none, and so this is, like, all the stuff that I do combined into one place, and getting it right it's interesting, but we're getting there.
Right.
We're getting close. I still struggle a lot, especially, like, trying to connect with the younger generations. Like, I'm like, God, I feel like I used to be cool, and now I'm just the old bitch behind the counter that's like, people probably look at me like, why, you made this? You came up with this idea? Are you, like, 70? Like, oh my God. But one of my favorite things to do is when Molly's working, she's freshly 21, I'll just be in the back and listening to the conversations that are going on, and it's like so many of these just amazing young kids that are so talented come in, and I know they get, like, amped up and excited, and they'll, like, hit us up and say, hey, could you put some of my art up? And I'm like, yeah, come on, like, bring it in, let's do this. Like, connecting is important, and, like, bringing in local art is important. Like, all of us support each other, support the weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
do this together.
Now, you said you didn't have this as your, you know, the vision for your life. I'm not surprised, but, you know, what was the vision that you had, you know, when you were a kid, the dream?
Honestly, I didn't really have, like, a thing. You know, I wasn't like, oh, fireman, or, you know, anything like that. I don't know why I immediately went to fireman, but I think that being raised so religiously, like I figured God would be a part of something I did. This is literally the opposite. But I didn't know because, my dad is still a pastor to this day when he travels preaching and stuff. And so I think that I really thought something like that was going to happen in my life, like a missionary or, And that's not what happened. And my parents get real freaked out about this place. They don't really come see me too often. But
Yeah, I was going to ask what they thought of this place.
When I first opened, honestly, they've been very supportive, and they were super excited for me because they knew I was getting a chance to really combine everything that I love to do into one spot. And it was okay that I wanted to do art today or make, jewelry this day or drill holes in bones or put whatever. It was fine, and I was going to survive, I could feed myself. I'm going to make it. But they definitely are like, we do not know whose genes this came from. Like, we do not understand any of this. All of it creeps me out. It grosses me out. Where did this come from? Like, who in the family gave you this? I'm like, I have no idea.
They're going through the family tree going,
yeah.
Daggone, you had that one weird cousin.
Had to have been them.
How did it make it this far? That's bullshit.
Yeah,
oh, man.
Exactly.
Well, that's good that they're supportive. I like that. And, you say that God's not a part of it. You got Jesus on the wall.
Exactly.
That's a paraphrase, I think, of, some of what he said. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. See, he's here. He's
right.
present. Yeah, they've definitely calmed down. And, I've loosened up a lot, too, on that because it really was kind of difficult at first. And I just really had to embrace the humor. Just go as far as potential blasphemy. Maybe I embrace it a little too hard sometimes, but it was hard really to do that at first. And now just, seeing the joy that this place brings people, and not just the joy, just like the shock factor. I can't tell you how many times we hear the clap of someone's hand going over their mouth, particularly when they read "Don't be a dick" Jesus quote or other things. Or the hands going over the eyes of the kids and stuff like that. And it just, it cracks us up. People just get a kick out of it. And that's what I like. This is not supposed to be serious. Come in and have a good time. And I did try stand-up comedy for a little while. That was the other thing I tried that did not work out. I did music comedy.
Really?
Yes.
Was this around here or was this, Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Explain that a little bit more. What's music comedy?
I had a ukulele and a piano and, instead of telling jokes, I was just singing them stories. I had one, one called Pooping in Public, because that's very uncomfortable. No one wants to, it's annoying.
Right.
And I feel like every time I go to Target specifically, that happens. And I don't know if it's all the red just angers my insides, but that's where the song started, was in Target during one of those wonderful moments. And a lot of stuff about sex, of course, because everyone thinks sex is funny, because it is so funny. What in the world? What a weird concept.
Oh, yeah, when you really start stripping it down, you're like, this is weird.
This is so
Imagine
weird.
aliens coming here and going, that's what you do?
Yeah, what? I'm getting out of here.
Right.
Nope. Bye. Y'all have fun. Yeah, it's just that having fun aspect with everything. And my mom actually snuck into a comedy show one time. And
I'm sure that went well.
Yeah, I actually made eye contact with her as I was singing a song about my vibrator. And I was like, well, this is well.
That's one of those, all right, I got to plow through this.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't suddenly be on stage going, oh shit, Mom.
Yeah, right. That definitely, that'll thicken your skin up a little bit. They've definitely come a long way.
Good for them. Well, why did you get out of the music comedy business?
Well, honestly, COVID happened, and because I was still doing it a little bit, and when that happened, it was just sort of my way of embracing this place completely, really giving it my full attention. And also, the last couple of times I played comedy were at a house party or something, or a birthday party. And I was so nervous because I was so out of practice that I got too drunk to be able to, like, fully function. And, you know, it's kind of hard to sing and play an instrument at the same time, like it can be. And when you're drunk, it's definitely difficult to do that. But somebody had some moonshine from, like, the 1920s, and you want to talk about, like, weird random stuff, I'm not going to pass up on that.
Right.
Like, when are you ever going to have an opportunity to drink moonshine from the 1920s? So,
Wow.
Of course, I drank a lot of that. And then by the time I had to start singing, I forgot the words to everything. I didn't know what I was doing, and everyone was just like, this isn't even funny. This is just sad. And I was like, maybe I'm done for a little while here. I don't ever want to feel like that embarrassed again. I'll just embarrass myself in here.
Oh, man. Yeah, that had to be rough. I mean, I'm sure you have, like, a spotty memory of it, but I'm sure the memory that you do have is probably concentrated enough to be like, ugh.
It's one of those things that you lie awake at night and think about and just cry. And you're like, that was terrible. That was the worst day of my life. You're just like, why are you so stupid?
Oh,
yeah.
I hate that feeling where you're just randomly going about your day and then your brain allows this little crack and then you're like, oh, like you have a physical reaction to something you did. I can only imagine.
God, yeah, that happens. I even out loud, whenever that memory just pops up for no reason, I'm like, God, I hate that. Why?
My wife will do that every now and then. I'll hear her, in the other side of the house, and I'll just hear her go, and I'm like, oh, you remembered something, didn't you? And she's like, yes.
Exactly.
And it's always something stupid. It's like, middle school, just something you said, but for some reason it just etched itself into your brain.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the embarrassing moments, of course. Like, my dad was preaching one time, and he called me and my mom up to introduce us, and my legs had fallen asleep under me, and it was like a stage where it's just stairs up to it. Mm-hmm. I fell all the way down them. All the way. Just slid all the way. And I think about that moment and how it felt so many times because everybody laughed, because why wouldn't you?
Uh-huh.
And I was like a teenager, so it was like not funny.
Oh,
it was,
no.
I'm crying. I didn't think it was funny at all. And that's one of those ones where I'm like, I could feel every single one of those stairs, I swear, when I still think about that moment.
Just the concentration of eyes watching you as each hit, is ringing through your ears.
And just no control and no idea why it was happening.
Oh, and that's the worst time to have something like that happen. I mean, when you're a younger kid, you can kind of be like, whatever, I just fell, that's what I did, I'm a stupid kid. And then when you're older,
I'm stupid kid. Yep.
You're older, you're like, it happens, everyone understands. But yeah, when you're a teenager, it's like, that's hell on earth.
I'm like, I'm dealing with proper, like, normal body parts coming in at that time, much less, like, embarrassing myself in front of, like, the cute bassist or something, like, no, I'm just terrible. Oh, no. Awful.
Oh, yeah, I don't miss those years one bit. I'm watching my oldest, she's handling it well, but she freaks out about things from time to time, and it takes me a full second to be like, okay, oh, yeah.
How old is your oldest?
It's all right. She's 14.
Oh, yep.
So,
that's the good. That's getting good right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she'll just be very normal, and every now and then just, why? Oh, shit. What is wrong? All right, you're 14. That's what's wrong with you. It's all right.
Right,
okay.
it's not Satan.
Yeah,
it's fine. Not this time.
Give you a hug. You don't want a hug. Okay, that's fine. You can. I'll be in here.
Just stand in a corner and, like, throw chocolate.
Right.
There you go.
Just hope she wears herself out.
Yeah. I know my husband has had those times. I've seen, like, a chocolate bar come under the bathroom door.
Just take this. It'll make everything better.
There's like a scene in something where it's like a girl, I don't know, crying, and he's like comforting her with a broomstick, like from afar. He's like, they're there. And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely, I've put my husband in that position many a time where he's just like, I don't know what to do. I really don't. I think you are just crazy, and I don't know what to do. And I'm like...
Yeah, and at least
Guilty.
the broomstick gives him a running start, if you decide to lunge at him. Oh, God.
Yeah, right. Just throw it and run. Yeah. It's terrible.
Well, all right. Was there anything that I didn't hit on that you wanted to talk about the place?
Not that I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered a lot of covered that ground and random ground. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, do you guys have a website? I didn't actually look that up. I didn't see if you had an actual site set up.
We pretty much just have Facebook and Instagram right now. We need a legit website, but yeah. I hired a full-time employee so I'd have more time to do stuff, and then I swear my list just doesn't stop growing.
It's weird how that works.
Yeah,
It?
what is up with that? I'm like, I'm supposed to have more time, and no. I mean, it's been good because it means we're, like, busy and everything, but also I'm like, God. And then I'm also can be quite a penny pincher, so my husband's like, well, just hire somebody to make you a website. And I'm like, but I can do it. And what if they don't do something that I want? Like, it's, no.
Yeah, that's me. I'm always going, we could have saved money. I could have done that. But yeah, it comes back to the whole, but I haven't been doing it. You know, trying to figure out that balance of, do I let go of the money in order to do it? Oh, yeah, that drives you crazy. I'm the same way.
Yeah, and my ADHD is terrible. I mean, clearly, like, this is how many different things that I've gotten into. So I get bored quickly, and I'm like, okay, well, I figured that out a little bit. Next thing.
Yeah.
And a website. I'm terrible at using a computer. I'm not technology for me. I'm a phone person. I'm like, it's all here. Like, it's fine.
Right. I can take care of it right here.
Yeah, right here, right now. Like, it's all right here. And getting on a computer, I'm like, I think this is easier, maybe, but why does it not feel easier? It feels more difficult for some reason. I know.
There's a handful of things that I can only do on the computer. I've tried to do on my phone, and I'm like, this is just stupid. What am I doing here? But yeah, 80% of it I think you can handle on a phone. They're pretty amazing at this point.
Which is why I'm like, well, I probably do need to use a computer to make a website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's that.
What are the handles on your Facebook and Instagram?
Just Major Toms, 2 M's. So my mouth is so dry. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
And the letter M, that really pulled it out.
Why did you decide to call it Major Toms? That was one thing I did want to ask.
There you go. So actually, when I heard the David Bowie song, Space Oddity Shop, kind of is how it started. But originally, I really liked the idea of Major Tom's for a bar name, and thought that I literally had the name before I even had the shop figured out. But I really wanted it to be a bar and thought I was going to open a bar called Major Tom's and make it like kind of spacey, weird. Honestly, it'd probably be kind of similar to this, except cleaning like throw up out of that fuzzy pink wall would have probably been very annoying and time consuming. So this seems like a better option.
And the guys who are going to mistake it for a urinal,
right?
That's going to be
exactly,
fun too.
Or a woman. Like, don't want whatever could happen there. I don't even want to use my imagination too much on that one. It's the one time where I'm just going to shut it down. But yeah, but when I decided on this, I was like, well, that's still a perfect name. In fact, it's even more perfect. I was even smarter than I realized on that because Space Oddity is the name of the song and Oddities and Curiosities. Yeah. Boom, looky there. I was accidentally smart. Not on purpose.
Give yourself a self high five.
Yeah.
Right on. Good for me.
Those are homeschool high fives.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. I know all about that. Trust me.
Man. Yeah.
I was definitely on the seesaw with like the rocks on the other side. Oh, no. Just like, this is fine.
I don't need other people around.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Oh,
gosh. Honestly though, I owe it to my brain. Like, I had to have a big imagination. I had so many, like, did I just say I owe that to my brain?
Yeah. That's
okay. That'll work. Whatever. Whatever.
Brains are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But like my imagination just, it had to be crazy or I would have been just, I don't know, bored and doing nothing. I would make clothes and put on like performances alone. I would play every part in the play. And my parents thought it was hilarious instead of realizing that I was like emotionally scarring myself.
Oh, man.
Like, it was basically what I was performing. But no, it wasn't really that bad. But it is like how this kind of happened. Like, it's easy for me to like picture an entire like thing at one time because I'm like, I already see the pink fuzzy wall and like it all just happened in my brain at the same time. You can delete that last part. That was absolute word vomit. God bless America.
It's okay. No, but I mean, I get it. And, you know, in a weird sort of way, there is, silver lining wise, you know, having time to yourself does, there's a good thing, I think, to it because it helps you be comfortable being by yourself. You know, I've encountered a lot of people, they get trapped inside their own mind. It's like they're climbing the walls. They can't handle it. They might as well be strapped into a padded cell because they cannot handle their own thoughts by themselves.
That's definitely, I know a lot of people like that too. And that's one of the weird things that happen is like talking to yourself. You know what I mean? Like they say it's a sign of like being a genius is how much you talk to yourself versus like being crazy because, right? And actually, that's a really funny thing. I'm going to go ahead and take like a quick detour on this.
Okay.
We got a review recently online that said it was a cool place, but the employee was talking to people that weren't there and freaked them out, so they left. And yeah. And the thing that was really hilarious about that was we were not talking to ourselves. I was working in the back, and Molly was up here, and they probably walked in right in the middle of her telling me a story or something. And when you're in the back, no one can hear you. Like, no one would know that you existed. Like, we can barely hear each other. So she was probably literally yelling at nothing to them. Like, it just, I'm like, oh, it adds to the weirdness in here, you know, like, fine. But that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I was going to say, that should really, you know, contribute, it would be a good thing in terms of bringing atmosphere. I would think that shouldn't be a complaint.
Exactly. That's what I said. The other one we got recently that was pretty good, we got 2 stars, and all it said was different.
Man, 2 stars.
2 stars.
That's what's weird.
That's what I said. I was like, I can't get over this. I really just I need to know what you were thinking here. Like, I'm just so curious.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm trying to figure out, is different, is that a bad thing? You know, or is that what gave it the 2nd star?
Right.
See, that's odd.
It's just, exactly. And those are the types of things, I swear, like, since I've been here, that you just really embrace and love, and you just find a way to just laugh about it. And
you should honestly get a print out of that. If I were you, I'd get
everybody
a print out from the window.
Everybody has said that. They're like, you seriously need to print that out. Any of our bad ones we've ever gotten they've just been really, like, what the fuck? Like, we had another one that was like, said he wouldn't charge a price, then wanted $150. And I was like, do you know how a store works, first? And second, she.
Great. Oh.
But yeah, we need that, and we need just like a wall of quotes we get sometimes in here, because obviously we hear some funny shit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And weird shit. And people love to just walk in and immediately start off with just some crazy random story about who knows what. Mm-hmm. And it's always, like I said, I love just sitting in the back and listening.
Just people going on and on about something.
Yes, there's so many things to look at. You're going to see something that makes you think of some weird story that, you know, we're going to want to hear, because that's a big part of this. Is like, let's hear the stories. Let's go. We love sharing them. We love everything. We need like a blog.
Right?
This something.
Week's weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah, in the spotlight this week, with their weird story. Yeah.
See, that's kind of funny, because I think that's why I wouldn't do well owning a place like this, because I would be trapped. I'd be like, oh, you're not going to shut the hell up, are you? I can't get away. This sucks. You know, I'd lose my mind, and you're like, oh, no, I'm embracing this. This is fantastic.
It's
and I'm like,
fun. I mean, there's been times, don't get me wrong, where I'm like, okay, I need an scapegoat right now. How do I figure that out? But luckily, it's really easy in here, because I can just go grab a bone and start cleaning it right in front of somebody, or start stuffing an animal, or, you know, whatever. Like, bring out a taxidermy bat. Everybody's freaked out by those right now.
So like, have you ever seen Psycho?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so it's not hard to get away if need be.
Well, that's good.
But yeah.
Yeah, I guess there are a lot of things in here you can distract people with. Did you see the naked guy with the bag on his head?
Yeah, exactly.
He rules.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find a way out somehow, one way or another. But,
right.
Yeah.
So are you guys are open, you're not open on Tuesdays, but are you open every other day of the week?
Yes, right now we're Wednesday through Sunday. Our hours, we've been just messing with them because it's been really hard to gauge. We've been all over the place with our hours, but so they change frequently. So I always tell everyone, just check because we update. But right now we're Wednesday and Thursday 2 to 7. Friday and Saturday 12 to 8, and Sunday 1 to 5. And those hours have been working really well for us. Just being open later is what a lot of people really wanted.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And I mean,
I imagine especially on the weekends too. That's when everybody's wandering around and whatnot.
Yeah, wandering around, and we love having people that are bar hopping stop in here too, because some liquid courage to buy stuff. We just get a big kick out of it. Especially when we have we can't really do it now. It sucks. But we would have our masks out like crazy, and the pink furry wall where you could actually really get to it and pet it or take pictures in front of it, and people would put on masks, and it was hilarious. I really hate that aspect of that COVID has. There's been so many other things, but that one in particular, I'm like, daggone it. That shit was hilarious, man. Just you'd be walking by and just people with animal masks running around in here. I mean, just ridiculous. People were just, what in the world is that place over there? And yeah,
it's the weirdo sanctuary. Duh, that's where they keep them in Winston.
Yep. Exactly. That's where they stay.
Right. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Piedmont Triad Podcast. I'd like to thank Holly from Major Tom's for taking a few moments to speak with us. Make sure to go and visit them at 601 North Trade Street in downtown Winston-Salem, and follow them on Facebook and their Instagram page at Major Tom's. Also, a big thanks to Matt Smith and the Cowboy Spankers for letting us use their tune Not Tonight as our theme music, and make sure you go and check them out on their Bandcamp page. And a big thanks to you for listening. Make sure to go and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Instagram at Piedmont Podcast. Until next time, Triad.
Maybe I should keep on moving. You're like the devil when the sun goes down. Stay away from me. Well, I'm too far gone. There ain't nothing here to see, babe. So you best just move along.